everyone, it's yet another week of the quarantine. But you know what? That's completely okay because our God that we serve is the same yesterday as he is today and will be tomorrow. And our purpose as Christians is the same still. It's to share the good news with other people. And how fitting is that now that it's Easter? So this week I asked you to send in lip sync videos, which by the way completely made my day. And if you haven't seen them, go to our Facebook page and I've posted all of them on there for you. But this week's family challenge is going to be a fort building challenge. So you and your family just build the most extravagant or simple fort that you want. And you can either send a picture or send a video in to me. And just like last week, the top 3 will get lunch or a gift card on the church. It just depends on the restrictions that are going on then. But we hope that you've had a great day. And guess what? Happy Easter.
Who wants to see me crack an egg on Mary Helen's head?
No, not me.
You do? You too? Okay, let's do it. Count with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3!
Oh no! Oh, wait a second. Where's the yolk? Oh, I was expecting yolk to be there. And if I had to guess, I was thinking that you were thinking that my head would be soaked with yolk as well. But instead, the unexpected happened. There's none on my head. And just like this week's lesson, the unexpected happened. When the women went to the tomb where they thought Jesus was buried, they were expecting him to be there. But instead, when they got there, the stone was rolled away and the tomb was empty. Jesus had risen. This week's lesson is going to be over Jesus' resurrection. Just like last week's lesson over the death of Christ, this week's lesson is found in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But right now, I would like you to pause this video and turn to Luke 24, 1 through 2. Jesus was dead and buried in a tomb. But that wasn't enough for the Pharisees and chief priests. They went back to Pilate and said, "This man was a fake. When he was still alive, he told people he would rise from the dead after 3 days. If his disciples get into his tomb and steal his body, they will tell everyone that Jesus has risen from the dead. You have to keep that from happening." So Pilate sent some soldiers to make sure the tomb was closed up tightly so no one could get in. While the religious leaders watched, they put a Roman seal on the stone that closed up the tomb and posted their soldiers to guard it. It was early in the morning, the 3rd day after Jesus died. Some women who loved Jesus were taking spices to the tomb to anoint his body. On their way, they asked each other, "Who will roll the stone away for us so we can get inside the tomb?" But they didn't have to worry, for moments earlier, while the guards stood watch, 2 angels came down from heaven. Their bodies shined like lightning, and their clothes were as white as snow. The guards were so afraid that they were shaking. They fell down on the ground as though they were dead. One angel rolled back the stone and sat on it as a great earthquake shook the ground. Soon the women arrived and saw the angels with the stone rolled away. "What had happened?" one angel said to the woman. "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has risen as he said. Come see the place where he lay." Then the angels instructed the women to tell the disciples that Jesus would meet them in Galilee. When the women went into the tomb, Jesus' body was gone. Quickly they ran to tell the disciples, but the disciples found their story hard to believe. Peter and John ran to the tomb to see for themselves. They went inside and saw Jesus' grave clothes lying there, but Jesus himself was gone. That's when they believed what the women had told them. After the disciples went home, Mary Magdalene, one of the women, stayed outside the tomb, crying. 2 angels came to her and asked, "Why are you crying?" "Someone has taken my Lord away," Mary said, "and I don't know where they have laid him." She had taken the disciples the message, but she hadn't understood it herself. Then Mary turned and noticed a 3rd man standing there. She thought he was the gardener, but then he called her by name, Mary. At once she knew it was the Lord Jesus. She fell at his feet and worshipped him. Jesus said to her, "Do not hold on to me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." So Mary returned to the disciples and told them she had seen the Lord. Did you know that Jesus' death and resurrection is the most important part of the whole Bible? Every story in the Bible that took place before Jesus looks forward to his death and resurrection. Every story after Jesus' death and resurrection looks back upon it to celebrate the good news of the gospel. The Apostle Paul said the resurrection is so important that we are lost without it. As Amy's making her way to her seat, I just would like for y'all to notice that we have taken a tape measure and we have marked off 6 feet. So we are following the rules today. But just like last week and the week before that, we are doing our portion of answers and questions. So after the question is asked, you pause the video and you and your family just talk about it among yourselves.
The first question is, what do you see going on in the picture? Well, in this picture, we can clearly see Mary Magdalene has come back to the tomb. She thought that Jesus, at first, she thought he was the gardener. She didn't know where Jesus was. She didn't know that he had really risen and done what he said he was going to do. We see in the picture that she recognizes Jesus then. She's worshiping him. She's falling down at his feet. She's hugging him. She loves Jesus, just like you would hug somebody, not during quarantine, but you would hug somebody who you hadn't seen in a while. She was hugging Jesus. The second question is, what happened to the soldiers who had been guarding the tomb?
When the soldiers saw the 2 angels coming down from heaven, they fell to the ground as if they were dead, and they were trembling because they were so scared of what was happening to them. They weren't expecting that to be a part of their day.
The third question is, why is Jesus' resurrection so important?
Jesus' resurrection is one of the most important parts of the entire gospel story. With his resurrection, Jesus defeated sin and death and proved that everything that he had said was true. If Jesus had not risen, he could not have been God. But we know that Jesus is God and that he did rise and that he is alive today. And now everyone who puts their faith and their trust in Jesus will one day rise from the dead too and live with our Lord in heaven forever. We hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to send in your fort building pictures to me or videos by Friday around 5 o'clock. They'll be posted sometime on Saturday. We hope that you have a great week and happy Easter. Bye!
Who wants to see me crack an egg on Mary Helen's head?
No, not me, not me.
You do? You too? Okay, let's do it. Ready? Count with me. I said count with me. 1,